I'm encouraged to know that the number 2 New Year's resolution for 2009, you all say, is fitness and exercise. Number 3 is weight loss. I am not alone. And even more encouraging, have you seen O Magazine this month? Dear Oprah, you know, usually I look at this cover and think, wow, I bet you there's a lot of airbrushing in that. But she is just letting it all hang out and telling the truth that this is her in 2005, fit as a fiddle. And the reality is 200 pounds today. And she says, how did I let this happen again? You know, yeah, I'm there. And maybe you're there. And maybe it isn't even weight that tops your New Year's resolution list. But there are some principles that we brought Jill Weber here to share with us as we celebrate a woman I've known for, I don't know, how many years, Jill?
A lot of years. A lot of years.
And I've watched this 110 pounds come off over how long?
Probably about 3 years.
Has it been that long?
Yeah.
It really has seemed fast to me.
Mm-hmm. Seems slow to me.
Yeah, hard work for you.
Yeah.
And maybe there's a point, you know, here, people trying to help me. Here's a book someone sent me, The House That Cleans Itself, because this is one of my issues. And, you know, the point I want to make right off the top is, as catchy as that title is, the house is not going to clean itself. And although we're going to discover that prayer is a very big part of your life, you had to roll up your sleeves and get a whole new outlook on this, I guess, lifelong challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've struggled with weight my whole life. I was, you know, just overweight child, overweight teenager. I was on my first diet when I was 9 years old. Oh. And it's just been this ongoing, you know, I'd have times when I would, you know, take some ground, 2 steps forward and then 7 steps back. You know, you'd lose a little weight and then gain a little weight and lose a little weight. And it's just been an ongoing struggle for a long, long time for me. Really, if I was to identify as like a one lifelong area of weakness and brokenness in my life, it's been this issue of weight. Yeah.
I'm glad we can tell people right away, you've done all the programs. I mean, you've done all the diets.
All the diets.
All the
Woo.
diets.
Yeah.
And we're not here to talk about a specific how-to. Mm-hmm. It's more about the attitude and the approach. How did God get you on victory ground in this?
First of all, I had to really crash and burn and sort of hit bottom. I finally got to a weight about 3 years ago where, and I think most people who wrestle with losing weight.
Whoa, that is you.
That's Farmer Jill. Yeah, there I am, me and my 5 chins.
How long ago would that be, Jill?
That's about 3 years ago. That was a trip that I took to Vancouver, and here's where the rubber hit the road for me. I could not fit into an airplane seat, one seat anymore. It was so humiliating. Now I was excited in that picture because I had already lost a bunch of weight.
That's a victory
That was
pose.
my after picture. Yeah. So.
Wow. I can relate to those hips though.
I couldn't fit in an airplane seat anymore. I love sea kayaking. I couldn't fit in the hole in the kayak anymore. And that was it for me. It's just like, okay, something has to change. I need to be rescued because I had tried everything. You know, I tried all these diets and all this. You know, I tried therapy and you know, you name it, I've tried it. And I just got to this point of hopelessness and powerlessness and saying, God, if you don't rescue me, I'm going to eat until I die. Because people do. People eat until maybe they die of stroke or heart attack or diabetes, whatever. But a lot of people eat themselves to death. It's a very slow way to commit suicide.
And there's really an entrenched addiction here. You told me about, you know, even as a younger person, babysitting and organizing people's cupboards. And what were you really doing?
I would clean out their cupboards for them, you know, as a service, as part of my babysitting, so that I could get access to all the hidden goodies in their cupboards. You know what? I would steal money for food. I would shoplift. I would steal candy bars from stores. I would do whatever I needed to do to get the food that I needed. Somehow, somewhere along the way, I lost the power of choice when it came to sugar and refined foods. And I'm convinced for myself and for many, many other people, it's an addiction. We're addicted to sugar. I was addicted to sugar and to things that metabolize quickly into sugar. And there was no way out of it for me other than God rescuing me and me just going, God, I can't do this. I cannot break this addiction, this bondage to food. I need you to rescue me. And I guess, you know, it's like the Hebrews in Egypt, you know, they're under oppression, they're hopeless, and God hears their cry, and he begins to rescue. So he began to rescue me about 3 years ago.
Wow. Now, some of the principles here are really profound. We want to strive with whatever we can get our hands on to make progress. You're taking us in the other direction. Powerlessness.
Right. It's not about, for me, it's not about willpower, it's about powerlessness. I cannot summon sort of the chutzpah required to say no to that brownie or that chocolate fudge sundae. I have to just say, God, I can't do this. I just can't do it. I need you to do it for me. I need your strength, your empowering, your enabling. And that's, you know what, yeah, it just...
that's when things began to change.
Right. Power is the issue. I would sit with my doctor, and I remember sitting with him saying, I have all of this information on nutrition. I've studied this for years, and I can't implement a single thing. I need a power greater than myself. I need God. And so part of the solution for me is just saying, okay, God, then it's yours. I give you the food. I give you this whole struggle. I just hand it over to you. Can you please take care of it for me? And that's the first step for me. Like, I just can't, but God can.
Now, I want to help mature Christians watching, followers of Christ, to begin to feel a little less guilt, because I want you to tell our viewers what you do when you're, what you do career-wise.
Oh, what I do? Yeah, I direct an organization called the Greater Ontario House of Prayer.
Your whole life is about prayer.
Yeah, I mean, I do. That's my job. I'm a modern day monastic. This is I pray and just cultivate the presence of the Lord, and just as part of my job. And
so God needed something more than you just being on praying ground.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And for me, it's been prayer, and it's been action. It's been submission to God, and then doing. And we heard with Henry Blackaby earlier, obeying, doing what God tells you to do. And the first thing he told me to do was put the food down. If I'm addicted to sugar, if I'm addicted to flour, if I'm addicted to coffee, I had to put it down, away completely. I don't eat sugar. I haven't eaten sugar over a year and a half. If it's in the ingredients, high up in the ingredients of a salad dressing or whatever, I don't eat it. I don't touch it at all. I completely abstain.
And you're not lonely, miserable, like my poem said. You're doing okay without the sugar.
Do you know what? Your palate changes. You know, I just love a good apple now. It tastes so good because my senses aren't numbed by this overabundance of sugar. And
can I piggyback on Jill and just say that I am doing again what I did years ago, which is no wheat, no dairy, no sugar.
Yeah.
There are things that contain yeast or feed yeast. Sugar feeds yeast. And one of the biggest surprises in what looks, you think you're going to starve starting out, but your palate gets clean.
Yep.
And fruit and vegetables and other foods, undoctored foods, have wonderful flavor that we're missing because we're so clogged with, well, our bodies are acidic instead of alkaline. My dentist said your naturopath is trying to change it from a swamp into a pond. You know, something to think about. But no, what you're saying is so true.
Yeah, I had to identify the foods that for me were the trigger foods or the binge foods, whatever it is that I can't have just one of. I had to set them aside completely and say, I'm just going to pass on that, you know. And so that's been a big thing for me.
So abstinence.
Abstinence,
is part of
abstaining from whatever is my drug of choice, which for me was sugar and flour.
And surrender.
And surrender, and just saying, Lord, this is your thing. Like you know what, every day, and I have to do this every day, every morning, I wake up and I say, God, I need you to rescue me again today. Because to lose 110 pounds, we're talking of hundreds and hundreds of days, and we're talking about thousands of food decisions and thousands of decisions around lifestyle and exercise. The only way I can do that, the only way I can manage that is just a day at a time. All I can do is just say, God, you know what, the next 24 hours, by your grace, I'm going to abstain from these trigger foods, and I'm going to make